Welcome everybody to everybody who's here and everybody who will be watching this recording. We are here today with Rebecca Lyons from ABLEnow, and she's going to, I probably had 3 different titles to this webinar, but I think the way that hit home the most was she's going to demystify the ABLE account. And because a lot of us have heard about ABLE accounts, and we know a little bit about ABLE accounts, but we don't know enough to really talk to others about it. And again, when Rebecca and I were talking, and I said I had an ABLE account, she asked me with who, and I couldn't tell her. So I brought out my card, and I want to show this. And yes, I am with ABLEnow. So.
Hey.
So Rebecca, if you want to just tell a little bit about yourself, and then it's yours.
Sure. Thank you so very much, Rick, for inviting me. And I really appreciate all of you attending today. Again, my name is Rebecca Lyons, and I'm part of the marketing outreach team here at ABLEnow. And just a little information, my personal pronouns are she and her. I have long brown hair, and I'm wearing a black and white sweater, and I'm also wearing a white jacket over it. And I'm joining you today from Northern Virginia, about 30 miles from DC, sitting here in my dining room against a beige wall with some pictures. So I'm going to share with you, first of all, a PowerPoint that will give you a little bit more information about who we are and a little bit more about the ABLE Act in general. So hopefully this is coming across clear for you and you can see it. I know the title really doesn't matter of the presentation, but I'll give you a broad overview about why it's important to save and to help others learn about the ABLE program. So just to give you an overview today of what we're going to be covering during this session, it's really my hope that you'll leave here today with an understanding of the ABLE Act. And the ABLE Act established the rules and requirements of all ABLE accounts. And those rules and requirements consist of who's eligible to save, how much money you can save per year in an ABLE account, different factors about what you can save for, what are considered qualified disability expenses, etc. But most of the time today will be spent talking about the features and benefits of ABLEnow, and then how you can get more information. And if any of you are interested in learning more about opening an account, I'll share some details with you about that as well. But I would like to mention that the reason this is so important is because ABLE accounts are still a relatively new financial tool for eligible individuals with disabilities. But we really do need your help to spread the word about this empowering program. It's estimated that approximately 1% of eligible Americans have ABLE accounts. So we're trying to get the word out, and I think if we all work together, we can share why the ABLE Act is so important. But during this presentation, I'll give you a lot of information, but I do want to share that I am not a financial, tax, or legal advisor. So I can give you a broad overview about the programs, but I can't delve into real detailed tax, financial, or legal advice. And that's always best addressed to a trusted professional. But I feel like I can answer most of your questions. So think of things along the way that you'd like to ask, and I'm happy to help with that. So let's get started and take a look at what ABLE is. Again, ABLE accounts are still a very new savings option. They're specifically designed for eligible individuals with disabilities to be able to save private funds for the purpose of paying for qualified disability expenses. And as many of you know, for far too long, people with disabilities couldn't save for the future without a fear of jeopardizing certain means-tested benefits. As you know, individuals with disabilities can only have $2,000 in assets at any given time in order to remain eligible for much-needed benefit programs, such as SSI benefits, and Medicaid benefits. So the idea for ABLE came about 15 years ago. A group of parents here in Northern Virginia were very frustrated that they could establish college savings accounts for their children without disabilities, but they couldn't save money for their children with disabilities. And we're so thankful that advocates fought so hard to change this. And the result was the federal ABLE Act. So now you're empowered to save up to $15,000 a year in an ABLE account without jeopardizing those disability benefits. And working account owners who don't participate in an employer-sponsored retirement program can save above that $15,000 contribution limit. And that's thanks to the Able to Work Act. And this additional contribution is the lesser of this prior year's federal poverty line for a one-person household, which is $12,760, or the account owner's compensation for the taxable year. And so what this means is that eligible working account owners are empowered to save up to a maximum of $27,760 in an ABLE account in 2021. And this depends again on income, and this will mean that you can save that amount without impacting these federal benefits. So what the ABLE Act of 2014 did was it modified the US tax code, and that was section 529, and it opened the door for ABLE accounts. So the ABLE Act is named for the late Stephen Beck Jr., and he was a Virginian who advocated for people with disabilities. But sadly, Mr. Beck passed away right before the ABLE Act was signed into law. But the act was named for him because of his advocacy. So the full name of the ABLE Act is the Stephen Beck Jr. Achieving a Better Life Experience Act. His daughter, Natalie Beck, became our first account owner when ABLEnow opened, and his wife, Catherine Beck, currently serves on our board. So we're so thankful for her advocacy. So again, ABLE is the abbreviation for Achieving a Better Life Experience, but most people just talk about the ABLE Act. And it's similar to a 529 college savings account if you're familiar with 529s, because all ABLE programs must be administered by a state. So in 2015, Virginia became the first state in the country to pass ABLE legislation after the federal ABLE statute was passed. And the state legislation authorized the development of two ABLE programs, ABLEnow, a direct sold program that can be opened directly online, and ABLE America, which is a program that can be opened directly through a financial advisor. So both programs are open for national enrollment. You don't have to live in Virginia. You can live in any state in the country and have an ABLE account. So ABLEnow is the largest independent direct sold ABLE savings program in the country. Again, it opened in December of 2016. And although it's sponsored by the Commonwealth of Virginia, it's available nationwide to eligible US citizens and legal US residents, regardless of state residency. So today we have ABLEnow account owners in all 50 states. And later in the presentation, I'll review with you some of the advantages of the ABLEnow program, including the first mobile app that is available, which can help customers manage their accounts and improve accessibility. But ABLEnow is administered by Virginia 529. And Virginia 529 is an independent state agency that runs the largest college savings program in the country. We have $100 billion in college assets under management and 2.9 million account owners. And we've been helping families dream, save, and achieve for over 25 years. And now with the ABLEnow program, it's become even more inclusive, which we're so happy about. So just keep in mind, ABLEnow is a direct sold ABLE savings program. You can open and manage your ABLE account directly online. But ABLE America is the first and the only ABLE program that is available through a financial advisor. And it opened in July of 2018. ABLE America is distributed by the American Funds from Capital Group. It's one of the oldest and largest mutual fund companies in the country. It's eligible to eligible individuals in all 50 states, just like ABLEnow. And like other ABLE programs, it's governed by the rules and requirements established by the ABLE Act. Again, those rules are who's eligible to open an account, how much you can save, etc. But the difference with ABLE America is that a financial advisor can give you financial advice, and they can help you build a comprehensive plan tailored to your needs. So again, just to summarize, ABLE America is an advisor sold program, and ABLEnow is a direct sold savings program. So who is eligible to open an ABLEnow account? There are a couple of ways to establish eligibility. The first is if a person is entitled to supplemental security income, SSI benefits, or Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI benefits, based on blindness or a disability. Or the second way is if they self-certify that they have a qualifying disability diagnosis from a physician. And it's important to note that an eligible person can only have one ABLE account at any given time. So ABLEnow is open to eligible individuals in all 50 states, and an eligible individual can open an account at any age, but the onset of the disability must have developed before the age of 26. But you could be at any age right now. In fact, we have account owners that range in age from newborns to people that are 80 plus, just as long as the disability occurred before the 26th birthday. But I would like to note and mention something about this ABLE age restriction. There is a proposed ABLE Age Adjustment Act that would extend ABLE eligibility from the onset prior to age 26 to the onset of the disability prior to the age of 46. And this would mean that millions of more Americans with disabilities would be able to save in this important program. And in February of 2021, just this year, legislation was reintroduced to Congress to try and increase this age adjustment to the age of 46. So we'll try and keep you posted on that as more becomes known. But money in an ABLE account can be used at any time to pay for any qualified disability expense. And an expense is considered a qualified expense if you incurred the expense at a time you were considered an eligible individual, the expense relates to your disability, and the expense helps you maintain or improve your health, your independence, and quality of life. So we do recommend that customers keep very good records of how you're spending the money in an ABLE account. We'll never ask you for them, but just in case you're ever audited or someone wants to look at those expenses to make sure they're qualified, just keep those receipts or documentation on hand. But here you can see just some of the broad categories that would be considered eligible expenses. And I want to point out that these are just a few. We know that expenses are going to vary from person to person. And so you may have something that falls outside of these categories. But we have many people that use the account for basic living expenses, health and wellness, even insurance co-pays. Maybe there's a therapy that public or private insurance doesn't cover. A wealth of things within that category. You can use the funds for housing expenses like rent, mortgage payments, utilities, etc. We have many people that will use an account for different forms of transportation, even vehicle modification, education and training, including many people use it for job coaching, assistive technology, financial management, and legal fees. In fact, some people would use an ABLEnow account to set up a special needs trust. So these are just broad categories to give you kind of a basic idea. But again, you will determine how the money is spent, and it's up to you to make that decision if it relates to improving or maintaining your health, your independence, or quality of life. So what are the advantages of saving in an ABLE account? Well, first of all, you can save beyond those asset limitations, beyond that $2,000 asset limitation for SSI benefits. And generally, funds in an ABLEnow account are disregarded when determining eligibility for certain means-tested benefits, including Medicaid and SSI. But for SSI, just a brief summary. For supplemental security, an account balance up to and including $100,000 is disregarded. It's important to note, too, that there is absolutely no impact on Medicaid benefits, regardless of how much money is in an account. But it's important to note that after an account owner dies and after all final expenses are paid, funds remaining in an ABLE account may be recovered to reimburse the state for Medicaid-related services. So if a person received Medicaid benefits at the time they were an ABLEnow or an ABLE America account owner, the state in which you live may be able to come back after all disability expenses have been paid out of that account for Medicaid reimbursement. So it's always important to talk to your home state to check into this. Some states have passed legislation where there isn't a Medicaid payback provision. So it's important just to find out, especially about California and what those Medicaid payback provisions might be. And you can save without the help. You can save with the help of others. So anyone can contribute to an ABLEnow account, including the account owner, friends, family, even strangers, if they'd like to contribute. And making a gift contribution is very easy. We offer a convenient website where people can give a gift contribution directly to your account if they choose to. And then with direct deposit, a paycheck, Social Security income, or other recurring electronic payments can automatically be contributed into an ABLE account. So you can save in the account for your unique needs. It's designed to be flexible and low cost. And we'll review the fees in just a few minutes. But you can manage your account online at any time, anywhere. And we have accessible online tools and a mobile app. So you can pay for those qualified disability expenses with an ABLEnow card, like the one Rick has and showed you. You also can have electronic funds deposited from one bank account into your ABLE account, and you can have funds taken from your ABLEnow account, and you can put those into a bank account as well. So we make it easy for people to save, and you can even have electronic payments made if you have an expense to someone that you need an electronic payment made directly to them. So you can use your ABLEnow card, you can transfer funds into a bank account back and forth, or we can pay the provider directly from your ABLEnow account by electronic transfer. And the earnings are going to grow tax-free at the state and the federal level. So that's one of the big benefits with saving in an ABLE account versus, say, just a regular deposit account or an investment account, is that you're not being taxed on those earnings as you're saving in the account. And then when you use the funds for those qualified disability expenses, you're not taxed on those earnings as well. And please know that we have a lot of information on our website that goes into more detail, and you can check out our frequently asked questions that will have questions and answers similar to what you see here and more. But ABLEnow makes it easy for you to save and to invest at your own pace. And here's how it works. The first $2,000 in your ABLEnow account is going to automatically correspond and be allocated to the FDIC insured deposit account. And this is linked directly to your ABLEnow account. So you can continue saving your contributions in the deposit account if you choose to. But if you'd like, Once the balance in the ABLEnow deposit account exceeds $2,000, you have the option to invest additional contributions into one or more investment portfolios. So each portfolio is intended to address a different investment strategy and risk tolerance. So there's an aggressive growth, moderate growth, and conservative income. These are all Vanguard Life Strategy funds. And then there's also a Fidelity money market portfolio as well. So some people choose just to save all their funds in the FDIC insured account. Others want to see the account grow over the long term, maybe save up for something more expensive or just save for the future in one of the investment options. So it's really up to you. And there really are minimal costs associated with maintaining your account. So ABLEnow, along with our custodian, PNC Bank, offers some of the lowest fees in the country. So the fees are going to be the same for all account owners, regardless of their state of residence. There's no enrollment fee. There's no minimum contribution. So you can start with any amount. There is an account service fee of $3.25 per month, but it is waived once the balance reaches $10,000 in the deposit account. If the account owner or their authorized representative chooses to invest some of the funds, there are also asset-based fees, but these are very minimal as well. And we do have a fee schedule directly on our website. The website's very transparent with all these details. So we've covered the ABLE Act, the advantages of saving in an ABLE account. Now let's talk about opening an account. If you're ready to start your savings, ABLEnow is open for national enrollment, and the application is available on our website by just clicking the purple Open an Account tab. You'll also see links at the top of the page where you can manage an account, give a gift, subscribe to a newsletter, and contact customer service. Now, who can open an ABLE account? An eligible individual can open an ABLE account if they're over the age of 18. They can do this independently if they choose to, but if the eligible individual is a minor under the age of 18 or is unable to open the account, or they just choose to open an account but not exercise signature authority, an individual authorized to act on that person's behalf can open and manage the account as the authorized representative. To open an account for yourself, you'll just need to provide your personally identifiable information, the PII that you see here. So that's information such as your name, your address, date of birth, social security number, email, and phone number. Now, to open an account for someone else as an authorized representative, you're going to need to provide that same personally identifiable information for yourself and also for the eligible individual who will be the account owner. So ABLE accounts are really growing and evolving over time. Now parents, grandparents, siblings, and spouses can open an ABLEnow account by self-certifying their relationship to the eligible individual. And for these categories of eligible family members, no documentation is needed to open the account. So a parent, in fact, could open an account for a child of any age. But then there are also authorized representatives who are opening an account as the legal guardian, a care representative, or a power of attorney. And for these individuals, they're required to upload the appropriate documentation. So there'll be legal documentation that's required that can be submitted electronically. And this needs to be done before the account can be used. Once you open an account, you'll receive a welcome email with instructions on how to use the account. And I would like to just mention that for eligible family members opening an account as an authorized representative, there is an order of priority during enrollment. So the order of priority is going to be given first to a spouse if the eligible individual is married, second to a parent, then to a sibling, and then to a grandparent. Now, after you open your account, again, you're going to receive a welcome email, and it'll have information on how you can access and manage your account online. But with ABLEnow, there's an ABLEnow consumer portal directly from the ABLEnow website. And this gives a convenient way to check and manage account balances. You can do this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can view your account balance and transaction information. You can manage your account notifications and more. And we do have an expense tracker that allows you to take pictures of receipts or upload receipts directly to your account and make notes if you'd like to keep track of those. And then in addition, if people are on the go and want to have a mobile app that they use, we do have the first mobile app available, and it's available through Google Play and the App Store. So please check those out. It's a great way, just to manage the account on the go as well. But this is my favorite slide. We appreciate, being invited to events like this to be able to share information about the ABLE Act and ABLEnow. And so ABLEnow is offering a chance, and we do this about once a quarter to all individuals that watch our webinars. You have the opportunity to enter to win a $500 ABLEnow account. And you can go to ablenow.com/win, or you can just take a picture of the QR code and enter to win as well. So it's a great way to start an account if you have one, if you don't have one, or to add to your account if you do have one. So please take advantage of this. And then I do want to go through with you some of the most frequently asked questions we hear. And if any of you know the answer, feel free to unmute yourself and you can chime in, but don't worry about it. We used to do this as a pop quiz. I always give you the answers, so you don't have to worry if it's the wrong answer. Any answer is a good answer. But the first question is, if I'm older than the age of 26, can I open an ABLEnow account? Does anybody know the answer to that?
No.
Okay, any other ideas? Good answer, good answer. But you had the onset of your disability had to occur before the 26th birthday, but somebody may be older than 26 as long as that onset took place before the 26th. So you were right there, Rick, somewhat.
I just didn't read it correctly because I kind of fit right into that category.
Okay, well, it's good to know, because some people feel like if, once they pass that age of 26, they can't have an account, but they definitely can. Okay, do I have to live in a certain state to open an ABLEnow account? Can you live in California, for instance, and have an ABLEnow account? Yes or no?
Anybody?
Correct.
Unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Come on.
Yeah, don't feel any
Participate.
pressure. And you don't have to answer if you feel uncomfortable. But yeah, in fact, you can open an ABLEnow account if you live in any state. So just keep that in mind. Some people think they have to live in a particular state to open an ABLE account. And just because we're administered by Virginia, that doesn't mean you can't open an account and live in California. And now this is kind of a two-part answer. How much money can I save per year in an ABLEnow account? And just remember, there was one amount for most individuals, and then there's a second amount, up to a second amount if you work. But do you remember what the basic amount is for ABLE accounts if you don't work?
$15,000.
Correct. Yes, it's $15,000 per year. You can have one ABLE account, but there is the potential up to $12,760 more if you're working and don't participate in an employer-sponsored retirement fund. Now, this one I didn't really go into much detail about, but it's something that we get a lot of questions about. Can I have an ABLEnow account and a special needs trust? I'll go ahead and give you the answer on this one because I really didn't go into too much detail. But yes, we find that many people will have both. They can often complement each other. And then there are some that will choose an ABLE account and others that will just choose a special needs trust. But we found that many people that do have special needs trust will open an ABLEnow account as well. So you definitely can have both. And does anybody remember who can contribute to an ABLEnow account?
Rusty.
Anybody that wants to put money in your account.
Excellent, Rusty. Great answer. Yes, correct.
I know those kind of questions.
You did great. Excellent. Yeah, so anybody can contribute. The account owner, friends, family, have Rusty contribute to your account. You know, anyone can. And then does anyone remember where you open an ABLEnow account?
On ablenow.com.
Yes.
Yeah, online.
Directly online. Yes, you can
Or on
open
the
an
new
account.
app.
Yeah, directly from the website,
Ooh.
from the mobile app. So we make it very easy so you can do it at your convenience. But again, we have a lot more of these types of questions on our website. You can do a lot of research if you're interested in learning a little bit more. But if you do have questions, you know, at the end of this presentation that I can't answer or that you'd like more help with, please feel free to reach out to our customer service team. Again, our website is ABLEnow.com. Here you'll see the 844 number if you'd like to call. And then follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We have a lot of information, blogs on how people are using ABLE accounts, the latest information about the ABLE programs as well. So please feel to reach out if there's anything you think of that you'd like to ask at a later time. But at this point, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you guys if you have any questions or anything I can assist you with at this point.
Yes, I'm ready to shoot. Sorry, I was late. I just wanted to clear something up because it's been rumored in the community regarding if I had like a significant money in my account and I passed away. What happens to that?
Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. I need to clarify that a little bit more. First of all, if something were to happen to an account owner, the funds in an ABLEnow account can be used to pay for any outstanding qualified disability related expenses. So any expenses that you may have had, first you can do that. And you can even use the funds in an ABLEnow account for funeral and burial expenses. But then after that point, it's up to the state. It depends on if someone received Medicaid benefits at the time they were an eligible account holder. So if someone was receiving those Medicaid payments, Medicaid could come back and ask for some portion as a reimbursement. But again, that Medicaid payback or clawback provision depends upon your state's Medicaid program. For instance, in Virginia, they've passed legislation that won't allow for that any longer. So they can't require a Medicaid payback provision for individuals that live in Virginia and receive Medicaid benefits. But it's always best to check with your state's program. And in addition, you name a designated survivor when you open the account. So after all those qualified disability expenses have been paid, if Medicaid does request a partial payback or payback for those benefits, if there are funds left over, then that would go to that designated survivor. But that's another thing that you will fill out when you open an account. So I hope that clarifies a little bit.
Yeah, here's another question for you. I'm horrible at keeping official receipts, like, you know, but I'm good at having receipts for my credit cards. Is that good enough?
It should be. You know, I would say just keep notes if you can, if something is questionable. You know, for instance, it's the categories that you can use the funds for are so broad. I mean, you can use it for so many expenses. Something that would be considered a non-qualified expense would be, say, if you went out and you bought birthday presents for all your friends, because that wouldn't be something you use. You know, you'd be using the money for someone else. So just keep, you know, receipts or try and jot down a note if something would be somewhat questionable or you think you may ever be asked for. Again, we're not going to ask you for those receipts or records, but if for any reason you ever were audited and that you were requested, to prove that an expense was a qualified expense, if you have that credit card receipt with something and that jogs your memory and that fell within one of those categories, you're fine. But we do, suggest if people can to kind of, jot a few things down if they're uncertain about it.
But overall, you guys don't request receipts? We
don't, but we do report any withdrawals. We have to do it as part of our annual reporting for Social Security and also to the IRS. So if they see a withdrawal and they're just questioning that for whatever reason, if they ever came to you, at least you've got that documentation from your credit card and maybe a note about how it was used so you could explain it. But ABLEnow is not going to ask you for those.
All right, so Social Security, IRS would be responsible for if they
Right.
wanted. All right, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Rebecca, we had a question here. Are the funds that go to a designated beneficiary upon death, are they subject to any tax penalties? This was from
That's a good question. I don't believe so, but that's something that should be, discussed with a tax advisor. But because ABLE accounts grow tax-free at the state and federal level, it shouldn't be, but I would recommend talking to a tax professional about that situation.
If we were to,
you can change to another beneficiary, but that person has to be a member of the family and be considered an eligible individual. But that's something I need to get a little bit more clarification on. Great questions you guys are all asking.
so if we were to call into the ABLEnow support team, would they be able to get that answer for us?
Hopefully, and I can check with them.
Okay.
And try and get an answer back to you as well. Send it to
Okay.
you, Rick, to see for sure. I don't believe there would be a tax penalty, but I don't want to, say 100% sure in case there would be, but I don't believe there is.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll get that and send it to you. And then if you want to share with the group, that would be great.
And would it be across every state, or could it possibly just be determined by state?
I'm pretty sure that the tax penalties are going to be the same, whatever state. So for instance, if you took a non-qualified withdrawal, whether it was in California, Virginia, Ohio, North Dakota, if you took a withdrawal that they considered not to be qualified, it doesn't matter what ABLE program you're in or what state you're in, there's going to be a 10% federal penalty on the earnings, and then the earnings will be taxed.
Okay.
So those tax benefits are pretty standard across the board.
Okay. Okay. Just for Rusty and for George, we are recording this, and the recording will be available. So if you want to go back, you'll be able to watch the first section of this. And Rebecca, would we be able to get a copy of the PowerPoint?
Absolutely. I'll send that to you. And just feel free to send that out to everybody as well.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. I should have sent that to you up front so everybody could see it, but yeah.
That's okay. We're good. We're good. Are
Great.
there any other questions? We've still got a few more minutes. In fact, don't be shy. Unmute yourself if you'd like and ask the question. George, I don't know if there was a particular question you had when you, or a particular area of concern that you may have had. I don't know, but if so, again, feel free to unmute and ask Rebecca.
I don't have a question, but I just want to let you know that I've been under this program for a couple of years now. And, the old saying, it's the best thing since sliced bread, it's really opening a lot of doors for people with disabilities and allowing them to accumulate some assets and some without I still live in a bit of a panic and fear because I do have to get recertified stuff out here in California for Medi-Cal and stuff like that. But it gives me that freedom that I can put money in the bank, collect interest or invest or whatever. It makes me feel a little bit more part of the society instead of we used to always have to go out. We used to go, well, you got too much money. You got to go buy another new TV. You know, it was some ridiculous thing like that. But today I can not have to buy like nonsense stuff and be able to invest and save a little bit, you know?
Oh, thanks for sharing that. That's wonderful. Yeah, I know, you know, there were so many people when, you know, they started lobbying for this ABLE Act. And it was interesting out here to talk to individuals that were just so frustrated by that same type of thing that you're mentioning as well, Rusty, and just wanting to be able to save beyond those asset limitations. And then they lobbied a group of people across the country to join in, and so many disability advocates got on board. So it became really this countrywide, nationwide lobbying effort. And I mean, it took almost 10 years or over 10 years to get this passed, but we're so thankful. And again, all I can say is it keeps improving. So, you know, I was here at the beginning, and it's just nice to see the improvements. So what you see today, it may improve in the next few years, but I do appreciate your feedback on that. That really helps.
Yeah, it took forever, like it seemed like for me, because I was waiting for it to come down out here in California. But I was going to go through like Tennessee, Michigan, or Florida because they had it way before we did out here, and we finally did get it out here. So, you know.
Yeah. I think there are about 7 states that don't offer an ABLE program now.
Yeah.
And so people were opening, you know, the first or second that came about, you know, and then changing. And so a great resource for you all too is the ABLE National Resource Center. It's ABLENRC.org. And it shows all the states' programs. And again, they're just a couple that don't have it open to people in every state. So it's a great way to compare programs, check to see which states have them, what the advantages may be. Some of the differences are going to be like, do they offer a debit card? Is it a prepaid debit card? Is it based on how much money you have in your account? What the investment options are, things like that. But the basic rules will be the same for all ABLE programs. But the ABLE National Resource Center has a lot of information that's really good.
That's good to know. Like,
I was looking at the ones that were tied into people's like pension plans, like, you know, where it's more secure, it wasn't an independent one.
I'm sorry, if one is more secure?
Yeah, well, their ABLE accounts have different like different accounts for each state has their different who they plug into. And like the one in Tennessee, I think was with their like municipal workers or something like that, you know,
sure,
made me feel more secure about it, you know. It wasn't like, you know, a bunch of disabled people had money and some guy on the other end was like invested. That scared me.
I totally understand. Yeah, everyone has to be administered generally by a state plan. Yeah. And so we were chosen actually by through Virginia because we are the largest college savings plan in the country. And so we work with tax advantage programs and have 100 billion in assets under management. So we were so glad that they chose us to be, you know, to sponsor the program. And, you know, you can check to see who the administrators are of each program. And, you know, there's some great programs out there. So, you know, it just gives you maybe more information to, you know, when you look online and you can see the differences. But the basic ABLE Act and everything is going to be pretty much the same.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anything else that I can answer or?
Anybody going once, going twice?
Well, I just want to thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to share information. It was great meeting you all virtually. And thank you so much, Rick, for having me. And I'll try and get the answer to your question and send out the PowerPoint so you can all look at it as well. But feel free to contact us too if you have any questions.
Very good. I'm going to stop the record. Oh, who is this? Did somebody? I'm going to stop the recording now. Doesn't mean people have to leave, but we're going to stop the recording right now.